Okay, we're going to do 164-7-43, the angle bracket. Usually when you do auxiliary views, there's usually some kind of angle, and we're really doing it just so we can dimension this, and it can be clearly dimensioned. And that's really what the most important part of this is, because this should be like maybe your front view, but this would come out kind of distorted if it were a top view or a side view. Alright, so we'll get to that later. We're also not going to worry about this symbol here. We're not going to worry about that right now. And we're just going to make auxiliary views. So it's 164-7-43. Alright, so when you go into your drawing, right, you're going to go create a new drawing, call it 164-7-43 angle bracket, and from Onshape. It should be in your class. Alright, and then we're going to go to the front view here, new sketch. And I'm going to start by clicking on line and coming up here like this, and I'm going to draw, I can just drag that out here. So I'll drag that line out a little bit. I'm going to draw a line that comes out here, but it's not perpendicular and it's not straight up and down, but it's going to be something like that. Put the thing out here a little ways. I might overdo this one a little bit, but I'm not going to line anything up there, and come down this one I will line up with there to there. Alright, so before I get too far into it, I'm going to start putting dimensions on this view, and I'll dimension this view and say that this is 100 and I don't want that dimension. I want a dimension that goes from here to here, and that's 120 degrees exactly. Alright, then I'll put a dimension on that says that this line right here is 0.62, and this line right here is also 0.62. Alright, and I'm going to put a dimension on that says that this line, this direction here, is 3.12. and this dimension right here is 2.38. Alright, so I've got that kind of all worked out. These are the important numbers for this right here, and it all works out. Now if you're having trouble, if things aren't lining up and it doesn't turn all black, call me over and I'll come help you. Alright, but at that point I'm going to finish this. I'm going to click on the corner of the view cube, and then I'm going to extrude this out the opposite way, and I'll give it a thickness of 2.74. So that's how thick the part is. Now, what we'll do next is we're going to make this kind of easy. We're going to click on that surface right there and click New Sketch, and see how it creates that angle. Now we got to, that is going to be kind of an auxiliary view, but we're going to view to normal there, and we're going to do that sideways if we want to. We could turn this around this way if you wanted to do it that way, and that's fine. But you don't have to. But I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to draw that T shape that was in there. I'll drag this thing out here. I'm going to click a line, put a line that comes down like this, one that comes over, and this T shape is in here like this. And alright, so there's some things there I want to make sure I get right. So I'm going to do a perpendicular, say that those two are perpendicular to one another. Alright, and then we'll start putting dimensions on, and I'll dimension this from here to here and make that 0.62, and then I'll put a dimension on that goes the thickness of that part right there. That thickness was 0.50, and I want to put a dimension that goes from here down to here, which was 1.5. Alright, so I got those. Notice that they're in black, so they are constrained fully. So now I'm going to do the horizontal distances, and I'll put a dimension that goes from here to here, and that distance was 0.62. See how it turns black? I'll do this one. This one right here was, I need to know the thickness of that line. That's 0.44. And then the thickness of this line was 0.62. The distance across the whole thing here was 1.5. And that leaves us only with this one. So I think I can do a vertical or horizontal and say that this goes to there, and that one's not right. So I'll undo this one. It's probably the vertical because I turned it sideways. So that's it. So that's it there. So alright, so that's that part. So I'll finish this, and I'm going to click on top, and then I'll click this corner right here. We can see what I drew there. It was fully constrained, and then I'll extrude this down through the part. So we'll do through all and remove it. So that cuts that out. Okay, then I'm going to go onto this surface, click New Sketch there, right click and go View Normal to, and I'm just going to put a point right here because there's two holes, and I'm going to put those points in there. I'll do a horizontal constraint to make sure that they both stay horizontally constrained together, and then I'll put dimensions on here. I'm going to say from the bottom here, this goes up, from there down to there, this goes 1 inch, and then between the two of them is 1.5, and then from here over to the edge is 0.62. So now I got those done. Alright, so I'll finish that sketch, come up here, click on the corner of the view cube again, and when I click the hole command, I'm going to go in here, and when I looked at this, let me look back at the part. When I look at the part, it says that the diameter of that hole is 44 going through. So we're going to find one here. We're looking for that number in the parentheses. That's 44. So I'll scroll down, zoom on down here to find the one that says 44 or the closest thing to it. And so 4375 rounds up to 0.44. So we'll make that a 7/8. It goes through the whole part, and so my termination is not blind, but it is through all. And so I'll click that point and that point right there, and it puts those parts, those holes in on that part. Okay. Alright, last thing we're going to do is this thing says that there's a couple of diameters on there that are, the radius is 0.12, so the fillets, so I'm going to put a fillet on here, and the radius is 0.125, so I'll click on that corner and this corner, and then I'm going to spin it around, look at the other side, and I'll put one here and here, and I might also go back here and look at this corner like this, and because I want to put one right in there. Those fillets add strength to a part, and so we got that done. Alright, so now click on this corner again, so I'm back to my normal view there with my fillets in where they should be. Okay, are we ready? It should be saved and moved on. I'm going to right click and go to create a drawing, and if you haven't done it yet, you can go to Onshape templates or go to ANSI and pick one of the other ones, but in this case I think we're okay with doing the ANSI A inch, and I'm going to click no views. Mainly because when this comes in here, I want to put in this main view right here like this, and I want to do one view that comes off to the right side right there, because this gets this one. But after that, I want to click on this button. This will create the auxiliary view, and you can click auxiliary view and click that surface and put that right about there, and see how that does that straight on. This is exactly what we want. So then I'm going to click project to view, and I'll project this one up here like this. I'll put this in the corner like that. Alright, I'll hit escape on the keyboard so I can click this, and I'm actually going to change this from 1 to 1 down to maybe 1 to 3 to make it just a little bit smaller. Oops, well, that doesn't need to be, it's fine. Alright, so then I'll click on this view, and I'm going to click on the edge of the view there because I want to right click on it because I want to show my hidden lines. I want to right click again, and I want to hide those, the tangent lines. I don't want to do it on this view or this view because it would make things confusing. Let me show you real quick. I'll show the hidden lines on that, and all of a sudden you get all this weird stuff happening, and we don't want to do that. We don't want to make it confusing. We're trying to clear things up. So I'm actually going to turn those off. And the same thing would happen here. If I clicked show hidden lines, you'd see all that weird things happening up here, and I don't necessarily know that it's even worth our time. So we're going to leave those off. Alright, I am going to click the center line right here so I can get those things put in there, so I'll put a center line on that, and I'm good with that after that. Alright, so now we'll do a couple of things. We'll put some dimensions on. We'll start basically where we started before. We'll say 0.62 here, and we'll say 0.62 here. I'm going to go over here to change the precision to 2 decimal places, and so now we got 0.62 on each of those. I'm going to put a dimension on here that says what this angle is right here. That's 120 degrees. Like that. I'm probably also going to put a dimension on this line right here. Oops. I want to do a dimension that goes from the end point here to that end point. And there, see how I drug that out there and kind of make that happen. I'll do that one, and I'll do one that goes from this end point to this end point. And put that one right there. Alright, so I've got those down, and these are the ones that I use to create that view. Alright, so now let's go over here to this view, the auxiliary view, and we've got the 3.12 figured out, so that we're just going to worry about the numbers on to get to where we created the drawing. So we go here, create this one, so that tells us how far down that line is. We're going to click on this view right here to put that one in place, and we're going to click on this one to put the overall length of that part in there like this. Now we can take this thing here that says auxiliary view and move that over a little bit, and I do think we can move this auxiliary view thing if we wanted to. We can move it. I think you can move it. Yeah, you should be able to move it a little bit closer if I needed to do that. I'll kind of stretch that thing out. I don't actually want to do that because I want to make sure those letters are clear what that is, and so we'll just move this back out here and move it so it can be clear. I'm trying to make everything clear. Okay, we'll go back up to this view here. I'm going to go from there to there and know that that's 0.62. I'll do one on this line, that's 0.44. Do one for this line right here, that is also 0.62. And I want to do one that goes the overall of 1.5. Now this is a mistake because it's going off the page, which is not something that I want to do. So I find myself in this situation going, alright, can I create more space? So I'll move this down a little bit there, and that way I can move down my auxiliary view down also to create more space, and it gets me in that zone where this is now in the drawing area. So that's what I wanted there. Alright, and then we'll go to this view. We're done with all the things to make that T. We don't need anything else on there. We'll go over here to this view, and I'm going to put a dimension on that goes from here to the bottom. Actually, I'll do it from this view. We'll do from this side over here and put that in as 1 inch there. Then I'll put in a dimension that tells us how far apart they are from here to here. Click that, and from here to here is 1.5, and I could be in a little bit of trouble here. This paper might not be big enough. That's okay. We'll go to dimension from that right there to the edge of my paper. The edge of my part. I want to put a dimension that goes from here to the edge of the part, and ooh, that does create a problem. So that's going to create a slight problem for me. Alright, so let's see if I have to move this up a little bit, what happens. Alright, so let's see, should be able to move this down. So you see I'm kind of trying to finesse this. I'm not trying to interfere with any of the... Move this one up a little bit so I can move that without creating a problem. And then now I can move this one back down, and it lines those up. Those make it look good. This one then I can move down here, and it looks good. Alright, so I got that. Now the other thing I can do is this button right here. Helps us with the leaders on the holes. When we use the hole command, it makes things happen really nicely. So I'll click that, and it's through, but I'm going to put here 2 places. Oops, all caps. 2 places. And so that's that. It's all done. Then I'll go down here. I'm going to double click. Oops, yeah, that should be good there. I'm going to backspace over top of that, and I'll put in angle bracket. And I'm going to change the part number, delete that, or just backspace over it and go 164-7-43. That should be it. Alright, so that should be your part. And this is the part here where you would go to print, and you want to print to the PDF file. So you're going to go to save to PDF. Alright, you save that to a PDF file, and that's what you would submit. Alright, good job.